Hello everyone, thank you for joining us this morning and welcome to this educational presentation of how to follow this strategy in order to help you find top winning stocks. Now, to go a little bit further into detail about this method, I'm going to actually share with you how you could have applied this to the 5 best performing stocks of January of last month, this 2019. You'll see that Zacks, the research investment firm, actually puts out a type of list each month and each quarter of the best performing and the worst performing stocks. As we look at this chart here in Lulu, we see here that this was actually one of the best performing stocks on their list for the month of January 2019. And it had a really nice run up, very consistent, very orderly, all the way to the upside from the beginning of January all the way till the very end. With the technique and the method I'm going to be sharing with you today, you would have seen that a buy signal was generated the second day of January. You could have been able to capture, had you been into the stock for the entire month, a total of 29 points. But not to worry, because if you missed that particular signal, well, you would have been furnished another one here in the middle of January, and then still another one towards the end of January. We could have taken advantage of this. So this promises to be a great presentation because you're going to see how easy it is to apply these 2 edges on our new platform. This is the PTS Primo charting platform I designed and developed with Proprietary Strategies. We designed it to teach traders how to trade. Everything is so simple because it's one click away. So this promises to be a great presentation. Thanks for taking time out of your Wednesday to join us. My name is Steven Primo, President and Founder of Specialist Trading. If you're new to my presentations, we are really only motivated by one thing, and that's strictly to teach you to become better traders. We're simply here to educate you. We are educators. 10 years ago, I teamed up with Proprietary Strategies with that one thought in mind. We simply wanted to educate you. We're not promising to have some system that never fails. We're not promising to have some indicator that never loses money. In fact, we don't believe in that. What we want to do is promise to get you sound, fundamental education involved in your trading so that you can be in charge of making your own trading decisions. This is one of the reasons why most traders fail, is because you're basically giving your power away and letting someone else make your decisions for you. Now, the reason I know this is because I've been trading for roughly 42 years now. I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for 16 years. 9 of those years I was a specialist. That's where you get the name specialist trading. A specialist is someone who made markets or who specialized in making markets. So if you wanted to buy or sell a particular issue, you went up to the trader on the floor who specialized in that market. So I did that during the crash of '87 and the bull market that followed. So I've seen and traded just about everything you can think of, every system or every trading technique or indicator actually that you may think is even new has already been around before. They've just rebranded it and renamed it. But I've traded all those things and I know what works in terms of consistency and I know what doesn't. So there's no reason to waste your time and most especially your hard-earned money searching for that holy grail when we can focus on things that really work and then let you run with it. Let you make your own trading decisions. So once again, first and foremost, we are only an educational company. And you'll see by how much attention I give today to our edges here I'm going to be sharing with you that we really want to educate you so that you become more consistent. Now, before we begin, as always, we are first required by law to share this with you. So please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using these edges today, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And also remember that all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Also, if you haven't done so already, I'd love to invite you to join us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there. You can copy that down, abbreviation for Specialist Trading. I post different educational information on a daily basis, anywhere from signals our strategies have generated to little bits of financial wisdom. In fact, I post information on all markets, all time frames, anywhere from futures, forex markets to stocks. So lots of great free information, education. Follow us on Twitter. Okay, so once more, we are different from other webinars you may have attended. If you're new to our classes, I see we have a lot of new people here today because we're simply an educational company. My goal is not to force feed you signals so that you just come to my website nightly and just blindly take the signals. I mean, I couldn't think of a better way to make you unsuccessful as a trader by simply having you do that. And my goal is not to tell you, well, this is the perfect time frame or this is the perfect market to trade. Only trade this market. I can't think of another better way to make you a loser in trading. Because the reason is because no one should ever tell you how to trade. They should teach you or lead you to a way in which you feel comfortable, and then you can make your own decisions. But you should never copy or mimic what someone else is trading. That's a recipe for disaster. Unfortunately, our entire industry is based on that premise that, well, someone must know what they're doing. They have this backtrack record that never loses, so I'll just copy what they're doing and I'll make money, right? Well, if that's true, then why do 85% of all traders fail? It's because there's no consistency in that. Two traders should never trade alike. In fact, no two traders should ever trade alike. You should trade according to your own means. So the reason why most traders don't trade this way is because they're not supplied with a proper education to make their own decisions. This is where we come in. This is where Proprietary Strategies and myself at Specialist Trading design our platform and these courses so that you could fully understand the process, become a part of the process, and make your own trading decisions. This, in my opinion, is the only way one becomes a consistent trader. Not by copying someone else's trades or by going to a chat room or by following the institutions or by listening to some gurus on TV. No, that won't lead you anywhere. The only way to become consistent is by someone teaching you and then by you making your own decisions. This is the same process that I was taught some 42 years ago. Hopefully it will be able to sustain you the same amount of time. Now, since this is an educational classroom, please ask me as many questions as you'd like, but I prefer that you wait till the end. If we stop at every slide I'm about to share with you, we'll be here far too long. So please wait till the end if you have a question. If you're new to my presentations, I like to take the questions at the end. The only question we answer in advance is this being recorded? Yes, it is. So if you have to leave early, or if you're having technical issues and you can't resolve them, don't worry. We will send each and every one of you a link to this recording, all right? So once again, I want you to ask as many questions as possible. Just write them down or memorize them, and we'll get to them at the very end of class. This won't be a real long class, possibly just a half an hour or so, and then we'll reserve the remaining time for questions. All right, so that's our philosophy. Let's begin today's presentation. Now, remember, I said that Zacks, the investment research firm, comes out just about every month or every quarter with their 5-star performers for that month or for that quarter. They also come out with their worst performing stocks. We're just going to focus on the best performers for January, last month, 2019. And these are the parameters they've come up with to define what the best performers are. Number one, the percentage price change over the last 4 weeks must be greater than or equal to 20%. Okay, so they want to see that price is up a certain percentage. Number two is the forward price to earnings ratio, the PE, for the current financial year, fiscal year 1, is less than or equal to 20. This picks out stocks that are good value choices. So they're looking for fundamentally sound companies, okay? Number three, expected earnings growth for the current financial year greater than or equal to 20%. So they want some type of earnings report that's going to substantiate this as one of their top performers. And then lastly, they put in their own proprietary tool, a Zacks rank less than or equal to 2. This ascertains stocks that have shown above average returns over the last 26 years. So this is their own proprietary tool for defining as one piece of the puzzle, the star performer for January 2019. Okay, having said that, let's look at the stocks, the top 5 stocks for January 19 that met all of these parameters. Okay, starting with number 1, we are looking at TWLO. Now that's a cloud communications platform company. As we see here, the stock really had a nice run-up. Basically, here's the beginning, here's the benchmark of the end of 2018, the start of 2019, and it's had a nice, very nice, consistent run going all the way throughout the end of the month. Okay, that was TWLO. Number 2 is MDB. That, I believe, is a database for modern apps. As we look here, this had a little more difficult time. The first part of the month of January, it had a really nice run-up, and then it basically fell out of bed here. Possibly some news or something happened. But from the middle to the end of the month, it had a very strong run-up and actually closed at higher highs. So it made their list. Let's go on to the top performer for the third ranking, and that would be SRPT. That's a healthcare stock. And this also had a nice consistent upward run from the beginning of January. It started going nice and consistently, and the last couple of days of the month had a really strong run-up. Okay? The next one is the chart we previously looked at. That was Lulu. and this is, most people are familiar with this company. This is an athletics apparel retailer. As we see, this had a really strong run-up. It pretty much stalled the last week or so of the month, but it had a very strong run-up from the very beginning of January of 2019. And this would have been a stock that you would have wanted to participate in. And lastly, everyone's familiar with Amazon, okay, the e-commerce giant. We see that this stock, once again, had a very nice consistent run-up. Towards the middle of the month, we kind of went sideways to lower, but then towards the end of the month, the actual last day of the month, we actually closed higher here at the high. So they all had some really nice runs. They all had positive returns for the month, some much better than others, and they all met the requirements. The only trouble is, here's the trouble with this, is we look back at these requirements, the parameters that meet the 5-star performers. There's one thing in common. You see, they're all after the fact. In other words, none of these could have been decided. None of these stocks could have been decided until the very end of the month. In other words, you needed all this information to meet the parameters. And so by the end of January 31st, we decided what the best stocks were. Unfortunately, by that time, much of the run has already occurred. As we see here, the market seems to having some fits and stalls. We're not sure if it wants to go up or higher or lower. It's having a little bit difficulty at this level. So maybe if you had looked at this list the way most traders do, this is the way they make their trading decisions. They say, well, Zacks must know what they're talking about, the way they come up with parameters for their five-star performance for January. So these are the stocks I'll buy in my portfolio. And oftentimes, traders trade this way or invest this way, and they buy at the top or they sell at the bottom when they're looking at the worst performing stocks, okay? So it's a little after the fact. It's too complicated. If we're using this data, this is great for something to keep in the back of your mind or just one piece of the puzzle of your trading plan, but you shouldn't make your trading decisions just based off this because oftentimes it's too late. In other words, we would have wanted to find out that these stocks were going up in advance prior to meeting all the parameters. So how could we have done that? Well, first of all, we have to uncomplicate things. I want to share with you what my mentors taught me. One of the first things they taught me was, they said, Steve, 42 years ago, they said this, it's the easiest thing in the world to overcomplicate your trading. Virtually anyone can do that. And if you think about it, it doesn't matter how long you've been trading, it doesn't matter how much experience or how much knowledge or how much education. If you've never traded before, you never invested before, and say this is your first week of trying it out, you can make any trading plan, any system, any strategy as complicated as possible. All you have to do is pile up indicator upon indicator, look at multiple news references and fundamental reports, go to every chat room or trading room there is and watch all the reports on TV. You can just overcomplicate your trading to the max. And take this from someone who did. Because 42 years ago, that's the way I traded. I was always taught that the more information and the more complicated something is, the more valid it will be. But trust me, there's nothing further from the truth. Why? Because, well, for my first year and a half, I couldn't make any money. I was even on the trading floor, and I couldn't make any money. I thought these were the things that were supposed to help you become successful, but they were actually getting in my way. So after a full year of trading with all this advanced information and seeing where the orders were in my book for the institutions and the support and resistance, knowing where they were, and having access to high-speed computers at the time, which were high-speed, I still couldn't really be successful. My mentors, who were specialists themselves, saw how difficult I was having a time with and saw how much I was frustrated. And this is what they told me. They said, Steve, it's the most difficult thing in the world to simplify your trading. And that takes real character. But that will make all the difference. Because when you simplify your trading, you have to let go of all this, what my mentors called useless noise. This is conventional wisdom that we've always been taught that is supposed to help you become successful, right? You have to know what the earnings are, right? You have to know what the institutions are doing. You have to know about the volume. You have to listen to these guys on TV. They know what they're talking about. Trust me, these are all the things I was following 42 years ago. But this is what we mean by uncomplicating. You have to take that leap of faith and strip those things away from your trading. And the reason they taught me to do that was because the one thing you should be focusing on is the thing you're not, and that's the market or the chart in front of you. In other words, you should be only listening to one thing, the market or the chart in front of you. The trouble is, we never listen to that because we've never been taught to listen to that. We're always taught to listen to some guy in a trading room We didn't have trading rooms or chat rooms when I was trading on the floor. We didn't even have the internet, but we had newsletters. So we were always taught to listen to the guy who had the newsletter. We were always taught to listen to the institutions. We were always taught to look at support, resistance, or Fibonacci, or Elliott wave. But they were basically just noise. They weren't helping anyone. Maybe 1% of all traders, but the majority of all traders really couldn't figure out what the heck they were talking about, myself included. So it was very difficult for me to grasp at first. In fact, I didn't grasp it at first. I said, no, I'm going to stick to the way I trade. Months later, I was still struggling, so I finally said, okay, teach me how to listen to the market. What am I doing wrong? And so this is what I'm going to be sharing with you today, what they shared with me some 42 years ago. They gave me two edges. Here's the first edge. I've spoken about this many times before. This is probably one of our most powerful tools we have at Proprietary Strategies and Specialist Trading. It's the PET D, okay? So for those of you who are new to my presentations or come to my webinar for the first time, I'm sure you're asking, okay, what is the PET D? Well, when I first worked on the floor, it was introduced to me. We called it the formula because it wasn't a real difficult thing to figure out, but it was a very cumbersome formula. And we didn't have high-speed computers. We didn't have programmers, so we had to do this by hand. But what it did was it showed us in really clear definement what the short-term trend was. But we had to make this a lot easier because it's a proprietary algorithm. It's something that you have to calculate on a tick-by-tick basis. Why? Because it's a translator. It's translating what the market wants to do. Remember, we want to listen to the market, so we have to need a tool. We have to have a tool that translates what the market wants to do. Now, the good news is that we've taken all the work out of it for you. We've made it a proprietary algorithm into a color bar tool. So the color bar simply tells us the direction of what the market wants to do at the current moment. If it wants to go up, we color the bars green. If the market wants to go down, the bars are colored red. That's it. There won't be any other colors on the bars, okay? Even if you have an update. But if you have an update and the market wants to go lower, well, that's telling you that that update is not valid. So it will outline that bar red, okay? So just because you have an update does not mean the market wants to go higher. I'll show you an example in just a few minutes here. Now, its basic use is as an early trend detector. It is the best tool I've ever applied in my 42 years of defining what the short-term trend is. I've spoken about our buy-sell line that defines the overall trend, but the PET D is specifically used to define the short-term trend. Let me show you what I mean here. Here's an example of Zion, okay? Now, this is a chart going back to December into January. Now, someone looking at this, the way 99% of all traders would look at it and say, this is terrible, this stock is terrible. Now, if you're unlucky enough to actually own this, this is probably the moment where you say, I'm going to get out, I'm going to sell this because it's just going lower and lower. I've lost enough money, I don't want to lose twice as much. Now, if you're an active trader, this is probably the point where you say, boy, I've got to short this thing. This looks terrible. So this is usually the way traders trade, a day late or a dollar short, because most likely this happens, okay? This is actually what happened in the stock. And by this time, this is what usually happens. If you were an investor in the stock, you most likely sold or got out of your position at the very bottom, and you're pounding your head against the wall as you watch it go up and make new highs. If you're a short-term trader, most likely what you're doing is you shorted it, and it's going higher, and you continue to short and short more because you're averaging down, and you figure it's got to go down one of these days, right? Trust me, I'm saying this from personal experience because this is the way I used to trade. How would the PET D have helped us? Remember, the PET D is not a predictive tool. It doesn't tell you how high or how low something will go. It doesn't do any of that information. It just tells you at the moment what it wants to do. Remember, it's a translator. So all you have to do on our platform, this is our PTS Primo charting platform, is click on the PET D tab right here. And instantaneously, the colors of the bars change either to red or green. Remember, red tells you that you're in a short-term downtrend. Green tells you in a short-term uptrend. Now, the beauty of the PET D, as it says here, is that it tells you which direction you should be trading for the short term. And then once you know that direction, well, then you can apply any method. It doesn't have to be one of mine, it could be one of yours, but any method to that direction. And you'll have a higher level of consistency. See, this is comparable to swimming with the, not the trend, but the current at your back, all right? But the trouble is most traders like to swim upstream against the current. You know, we're trying to sell as it's going straight up, or we're trying to buy as it's going straight down. But once you are swimming with the current at your back, do you see how trading is so much simpler? It's a lot easier. You sleep better. You don't have to hide your account statements from your significant other. You know that you're really in sync with the market. Why? Because for the first time, you learn how to listen to the market. Okay? Now, so we've defined what the short-term trend is. Now, how are we going to apply the PET D? Well, here's one of the best ways I know of which to apply it, because there are literally dozens of ways to apply the PET D to our trading. And one of the best ones is as a signal confirmation tool. Okay, so what do we mean? Well, whenever you trade a strategy, all right, there's always a bar or a moment where all the requirements are met and you say, okay, it's now time to buy. Now, it could be based off news. It could be based off institutions. It could be based off an indicator. It could be based off the tides of the ocean. It makes no difference what it's based off. But there's usually a bar where all the requirements are met, and that's when the light goes off and you say time to buy or time to sell, okay? What we want to do is apply the PET D to confirm if it's okay to take that trade. Now, what we mean is if you have a buy signal, regardless of what strategy you're trading, that bar where everything comes into play must be colored green by the PET D. We don't care what the previous bars were colored. Just as long as that one bar is colored green, you will have a higher level of consistency if you follow that simple rule. Now, let's say your strategy, whatever it's based off, gives you a sell signal. Let's say it generates a sell signal, okay? Let's say some bad news comes out that day. You come home or you look at the news and go, wow, this is terrible. Even though the stock didn't fall out of bed, I've got to get out of this stock or I've got to short it. Well, before you do that, apply the PET D. The PET D should color that bar red. It doesn't matter if that day was up. You say, well, Steve, well, if it's an up day, shouldn't it be green? No. We'll color it red if the PET D says it's not confirmed. You will have a higher level of consistency of shorting that or at least not taking it as a buy signal because the PET D is telling you it's translating that the short-term trend is down. Remember, we don't want to swim against the current. We don't want to swim upstream. We want to swim with the current at our back. So the PET D is telling us the direction of the current. Now, one of the major problems is a lot of students that contact us and say, gosh, Steve, I love your presentations. I love your free education. I want to become a student, a member, but I don't have a strategy. I don't know which strategy to take. I'm not confident with the strategy I've currently been trading. It just generates numbers of losers, so I don't know what to trade. Well, this is going to bring up edge number 2. We're going to talk about one of our most consistent strategies, and that is strategy number 5. You heard about me speaking about this before. This is a candlestick pattern recognition strategy. It's based off candlesticks, but using candlesticks in a specific way. It's designed to trade in strong trending markets, so the PET D can really help us here. All right. Now, it's not based off of the PET D. It's based off pattern recognition. So don't think that PET D is part of the rules. The PET D is just a sub-tool, another edge we use to confirm this particular strategy. Now, its intensity level is a number 2. In other words, if 1 were the most intense of all strategies you ever traded, where you virtually could not leave your computer, you had to be glued to it 24/7, and 3 were the most relaxed, where you just enter an order and walk away for a couple of days, it's a very moderate number 2, so it's very easy to learn. Beauty of this is you can apply it to any time frame, any market, or any direction. So we're going to focus mainly on stocks here because we're going to look at those past 5 top performing stocks that Zach's recommended. But trust me, we have currency pair traders who trade this. We have forex traders who trade this. We've had Bitcoin traders who trade it. We have commodity traders. Commodities traders love this because of those nice, really trending markets in the commodities. So it does not matter. If you're an intraday trader, sure, you can apply it to that. It makes no difference, okay? So even though we're going to base all the examples today on stocks, it makes no difference. Any market, any time frame, any direction. Now, our edge at specialist trading is consistency. So what does that mean? Well, most people think, well, yeah, consistency, that means that you make a lot of winning trades. No, that's not what consistency means. It actually means the opposite. It means that you are aware and you acknowledge that you will have losses from time to time. That's okay. What consistency means is a method or structure that's able to recoup those losses as quickly as possible. That's what's found in all of our methods and strategies. So you will have small losses or minor losses. It's up to you depending on where you plan to put your stop, which we also teach you in the course. The only point is you will have losses. There's nothing wrong with that. I lose probably on a daily basis when I trade, but I'm confident because the method I trade makes it back, and then I'll have another winning trade. So it's all about 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So don't ever let anyone tell you you shouldn't be losing or this method never loses. And that's silly. That's like someone playing baseball says he never strikes out. Every major league baseball player, the best ones, have struck out consistently. But it's just that they want to be consistent in terms of being able to have hits as opposed to having a pattern of major losses in terms of strikeouts. Okay, so that's strategy number 5. Let's now go back and look at those examples. All right, let's look at the very first one, TWO. All right, TWLO. We see here that we had a really nice run-up. What's the first thing you would do once you become a member of our course? Well, you want to click on the PET D to see what the PET D is telling you. Once you click on the PET D, well, we see that we have the majority of the bars have been green. Sure, we have a couple of red ones here, but that's okay. As long as the majority are green, that's telling us what the market wants to do. Now, the PET D is not a system. It's not a strategy. Remember, we're using this to confirm the signals. So we now need to see what the signals are for strategy 5. Now remember, we are an educational company. We teach you all of the rules to all of our methods so that you know them like the back of your hand. Personally, myself, I do not need this feature. Well, we've provided you with the up and down arrow feature so that you can check your work. Now, I've been trading strategy 5 for over 40 years now, so I can just look at a chart and know where a strategy 5 setup has been generated. But when you're learning, you say to yourself, okay, I think there's one generated here. I think there's one generated here. How do I check my work? Well, you simply click on the strategy number 5 tab in our platform, and it automatically will generate where the signals were. And you can check your work. Now we see that these buy signals were also colored green. So this was your indicator. This was your confirmation to tell you that it was okay. Had you taken the very first one, 16 points in the next 2 months to the very end of the month, okay? So you would not have had to wait till the end of January, read that report in Zacks and said, wow, I think I'm going to jump into TWLO. This is a good performer for January. You would have already been in it and made 16 points on your own decision if you wanted to. Remember, it's up to you. We have numerous exit points, numerous entry points, numerous stop levels. You decide how to trade. We just teach you all these different variables. Let's look at the next stock that was on our list. MDB, okay, the database for modern apps. This once again had trouble. It did very well in the beginning of January, then fell out of bed. But how could we have taken advantage of this nice run-up? Well, first thing we want to do is click on the PET D, as we see here in the green strategy tab. This is when we say how simple we make trading. And it colors the bars. Now we see we had a number of green bars. We had a number of red bars down here, but then it switched to green. Now, where were the strategy 5 signals generated? As I look here, I'm looking all throughout here, and I know, once again, from my experience of trading this for 4 decades, that there were no signals generated until I click on strategy 5 and I confirm that we had 2 that were right here. So even though we had red bars, if I had had a strategy number 5 signal to go short, well, I would have taken it, but it wasn't telling me to go short. So there's no reason to sell anything. Remember, the PET D is not a system. It's just telling you what the market wants to do at that particular moment. So if it wants to go higher, as it was once it was coloring the bars green, then you want to find some structure in the form of a buy setup. And we had 2 buy setups generated here. Had you taken the very first one, which was the last week of January, you still would have made 8 points just trading the candlestick combo here. Let's go on to the next setup, which is SRPT, okay, the healthcare stock. Now this had a really nice run up. It was very consistent. It was very orderly, and then it had 2 really nice strong days. Well, we punch up the PET D, and we see that the majority of the bars are green. Now, where are the strategy number 5 signals? We can click on strategy 5, and we see there was one generated in the very middle of the month. Had you taken that setup, 19 points 2 weeks later, okay? Let's look at the next setup. As you see here, you're not having to wait till the end. You're being proactive. You're not being reactive and reacting to what report came out or what someone said in a chat room. You're actually knowing in advance because the stock, the market, the chart in front of you is telling you what it wants to do. Lulu, okay, this was a very strong stock until the last week or so where it went sideways. Could we have taken advantage of? Well, yes, we actually had numerous times we could have taken advantage of. First thing we do is we apply the PET D and we see that all the bars were green. So what's the market telling us? It's telling us way back here in advance of this nice move that it wants to go higher. Do we know how high it wants to go? No. We're not a predictive tool. The PET D doesn't predict how high or how low. It just tells you at the moment what the market wants to do. So with each bar, it's telling us it wants to go higher. So as long as the bars are green, we want to look for a buy setup. We click on strategy number 5 and look at all the buy setups we had using strategy number 5. Had you taken the very first one on the second day of January, guess what? In 1 month, you possibly could have generated potentially 29 points. You just would have held on to the position. Now, by that point, most people would have been reading that report that came out and said, I think I'm going to buy Lulu. This stock looks pretty well, and it made the top 5 best performers of 2019 of January. Guess what? You were already in it, and you were in it 29 points lower. Lastly, the last one, Amazon, okay? A nice orderly run-up, kind of had a stall. It's a little bit lower here, and then went up higher. What was the PET D telling us? As we click on the PET D, the majority of January was green. We were met by a few red bars, but then back to green again. All right, since we're looking for strategy number 5, I can see here that we had a nice buy signal right here at the very beginning of January, January 2nd, once again. So had you taken that buy signal, I realize Amazon is a very expensive stock. Not most people, myself included, would not be purchasing 1,000 shares of Amazon to trade or invest in. But you could have easily purchased calls or some type of spread strategy with a bias to the upside and potentially captured 185 points in 1 month. Now, at the end of the month, you would have read all the reports how well Amazon is doing. If you had taken this course a month earlier, you would have said, I don't need to read those reports anymore. Remember when my mentors taught me that there's no reason to overcomplicate your trading by looking at all these fundamental requirements and reading things a day late and $1 short? Once you learn how to listen to the market, you know in advance because the market usually tells you in advance what it wants to do. So here you knew a full 31 days in advance that you should be buying Amazon, and you could have potentially captured upwards of 185 points. And remember, these 2 edges can be applied to down markets as well. I don't want you to think that they only work with up markets because we were focusing on Zach's top 5 performers, but it can also work on stocks that are doing poorly or before they are doing poorly. For example, we look at HAE here. This stock is going basically sideways in a range. Most people would say, well, Steve, there's nothing happening here. The volume is dried up. Where most stocks are going higher for January and February, this stock is doing absolutely nothing. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to wait and see what the earnings are. Do you see how all my decisions are based on someone or something else's decisions? They're not based on the market. What is the market telling you? Well, you apply the PET D, and you can see that the majority of the bars are red. There's a couple here that are green, one here green. All we want to see is where the strategy number 5 signals fell on. So once you go through the course, you can identify after a couple of weeks, you'll know what to look for. But in order to check your work, once again, we provided you with the up and down arrows, and you would have seen that there was an arrow to sell right here. Now, provided where you placed your stop, where you placed your entry, where you actually wanted to exit, you could have gotten into this trade and entered into it. It was verified by the PET D, and 15 points coming into the first week of February, just last week, okay? So it works on down markets as well. Another example here in CMPR, same thing, basically going sideways at the end of January. While Amazon and Lulu were going straight up, this stock's going sideways. So you're thinking, well, it's bound to go up pretty soon, right? It's going to follow all the other companies and it's going to go up. But what is the PET D telling us? Not what the earnings are, not what the other stocks are doing, not what the institutions are doing. What is the stock telling us? We click it on and we see here that we have difference. We have green bars and a few red bars. Okay. All we're concerned about is where the strategy signal is generated and what the color of the bar is, because that's all we're concerned with. we see here that a strategy number 5 sell signal was generated right here. What color is it? It's red. So I don't care if the earnings are going to be great. I don't care if this is some major Fibonacci support or some major institutional support. I don't care. There's no consistency in that. I only care what the market's telling me. And the structure of strategy 5, the candlestick pattern, is telling us that this is going lower. On top of that, the PET D signal confirmation is telling me that it's been confirmed and verified. So this is a high probability signal that was generated on the 29th of January. And guess what happened? 2 days later, probably some major news announcement or something came out where the stock gapped down. You could have potentially captured 40 points coming into the first week of February. So it doesn't matter, once again, what direction. You can see this just as well going in up markets and down markets. And also, since we don't have a lot of examples here, please remember, though, it can be applied to any market, currency pairs, futures, commodities, Bitcoin, and any time frame. We have a number of currency pair traders who like to trade this on intraday, okay, because it works so well. All right, so let's recap. What did we talk about today? We went over the 5 best performing stocks of January 2019, according to Zach's research review and the parameters they have to define those best stocks. Now, that's fine. All those stocks perform very well. The only bad thing about that is that you don't find that out until after the fact, until after they've had their nice run-up. Unfortunately, the way most traders have been taught is once we get that report, well, now it's time for us to jump in. But guess what? We've left a lot of profit on the table right there. I mean, we've already come in maybe 15 to 120 points higher. So what we want to do is apply our first edge. That's the PET D, because that will tell us in advance what the short-term trend is. Remember, it's a proprietary algorithm, but we've taken all the hard work. You don't have to do the calculation by hand. We've done it for you. We've made it into a color bar tool that defines what the market wants to do on a tick-by-tick basis. And the way we use it is by applying proprietary strategy number 5, a candlestick pattern recognition strategy, and it confirms if you get a buy signal, that bar that the signal has been generated on, only that bar should be colored green. If you get a sell signal with strategy number 5, that bar should be colored red. That's it. And that makes up what we call our candlestick combo. This is one of our best packages we have here at Specialist Trading and Proprietary Strategies. It's a great combination. It's our candlestick combo. And I'm going to tell you about a great offer today. But before we do, remember what my mentors taught me. It is the easiest thing in the world to overcomplicate your trading. Anyone can do that. It makes no difference if you've been trading 30 years or 30 minutes. You can easily overcomplicate your trading to trick yourself into thinking it's more valid. But it's the most difficult thing in the world to simplify your trading. And that takes real character because it takes a leap of faith. It takes a lot of courage coming from someone who had to do it 42 years ago, because we've all been taught that the more things you pile upon your trading plan, the more valid it will be. But trust me, it couldn't be any further from the truth. It's actually the opposite. The simpler your trading, the simpler and the more you just focus on one thing, which is the market in front of you, that's the more chances you will get onto that road to consistency. Okay, so let me tell you about today's special discount for all the people attending today. We're going to offer you our candlestick combo special. This is strategy number 5, along with the PET D tool. Okay, you're going to get instant course access, detailed instruction, 20 videos. We're going to teach you all of the entries, different entry variables, different exit variables, and different stop variables to trading candlestick strategy number 5. Remember, you're in charge. This is not a system. So even though we have basic benchmark places to enter and exit, that's just a benchmark for you to focus on when you're learning the basic format of the strategy. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide where you want to exit. It's up to you to decide how you want to enter, and it's up to you to decide how you want to place your stop. Because remember, that is the only way you become consistent. You will never become consistent by just basically piggybacking off of what someone else is trading. You have to find your own way, and we do all of that for you. We provide you with the educational signal alerts. These are the up and down arrows. Now, with the PET D course, you're also going to get 4 specific PET D trading techniques. These are different techniques. They're not full-fledged strategies, but they're different techniques. Remember, I said there are dozens of ways to trade with the PET D. 4 more we're going to be offering you so that you can apply them to your own trading. Now, this includes the add-on. So if you want to use on your platform, we know a lot of people like to apply them to like TradeStation, MT4, Metastock, Sierra Charts, NinjaTrader, we will supply you with the add-on that colors the bars green and red, and that furnishes the up and down signals for strategy number 4. But here's, I think, one of the best things that comes with this candlestick combo special. We're going to also throw in 12 months of our PTS Primo charting platform. Everything you saw here today was a display, and these were examples from our platform. Okay, this is how simple it is. You don't have to worry if you have a platform, let's say TradeStation or Metastock, you'll have to go into their indicator box and look through all the indicators to try and find where the PET D is or where strategy number 5 is. With our platform, it's right there. It's on the green strategy tab. It's just one click away, and that's it. And you see the bars change color, and you also see where the strategy number 5 buy and sell signals are. It's already pre-formatted. There's nothing you need to do. Now, 12 months costs close to $1,200. Guess what? As part of the people coming today, as our special discount, we're not going to charge you that. We're not even going to charge you anything. We're throwing in 12 months absolutely free. So included with the candlestick combo, you're getting 12 months of our platform. But it just doesn't stop there. You're going to get strategy 5 along with the PET D directional tool, but you're also going to get our top bottom 25% feature. This is another short-term directional tool. You'll also get our overall trend identifier. That's a proprietary buy-sell line. I've had many webinars where I talk about that. It comes with over 90 technical indicators and free Bloomberg TV. So if you feel you must listen to fundamental news and want to find out what's going on in the world in terms of economic conditions or fundamental reports, that's fine. You can click on the media tab and you'll have a little window pop up with live TV while you're looking at the charts, okay? This also comes with personalized tech support to resolve any issue that you may be having. Now, we're also throwing in another bonus. On top of all these things that are included on the platform, we're also throwing in the scanner. Let me show you how valuable this is. I love our scanners on our platform because they're so simple. In fact, scanners are one of my pet peeves. I have used just about every platform and every trading vehicle you can think of that's been out there. Some of them don't even exist anymore. But the ones that are currently out there, I've used. And some of them are so convoluted and so complicated that it takes me hours to figure out how to even pull up a chart, let alone a scanner. Let me show you how simple our scanner is. All you have to do is click on whatever strategy or method you're trading. A drop-down menu appears, click on scan, and you automatically get this window. And we furnish you with different markets, S&P, NASDAQ, Dow. We also furnish you with forex database, with futures, with Bitcoin, with commodities, different exchanges, the Indian markets, the DAX, European exchanges. So you can choose whatever market you're interested in. Simply click on scan, and probably in less than a minute, you'll see a series of green or red horizontal bars. The green bars simply mean that there's a buy signal in that corresponding issue or future or currency pair. The red ones mean they're a sell signal. Now let's say I had given this presentation a month ago, and you said, wow, I love this. I'm going to become a member of this course. This is great, okay? Well, you would have had 12 months of our platform, and you could have scanned. Now, on this particular example here, we see a chart of NSP. Now, nothing much is happening to the chart here. We're kind of going sideways to higher. This is in the middle of January. But had you scanned, you would have scanned and seen that a strategy number 5 buy signal was generated on the 17th, all right, just about 2-3 weeks ago. Now, that's a high probability signal that you would have known the night before, or actually if you had scanned a couple of minutes before the close on the 16th, you could have seen that a signal was generated. If you wanted to get in a day earlier, you could have. It's up to you. Remember, you're in charge of how you enter. Either way, a buy signal was generated in this stock. Now, let's say you want a little bit more confidence and you're a member of the candlestick combo, so the next thing you do is click on the PET D, all right? On our platform, it's easy here. You don't have to go into any indicator box, look through hundreds of indicators. It's right there. Click it on, and it automatically changes the color. So we have a buy signal that is outlined green. So that's a high-level strategy setup to take. Why? Because it's a very high probability. So once again, the choice is yours. This is not a system. You could decide to buy calls. You could decide to actually purchase. It's entirely up to you. This was just about 3 weeks ago. As we see, coming into a couple of days ago, you had a nice run-up. All right. Now, depending on where you wanted to exit, you could have already taken a profit, or you could still be in the trade. Let's say you had continued to stay on to the trade. Well, let's see what happened yesterday. This was Insperity NSP, they came out and said that the stock surges after the company beat its earnings expectations. The Human Resource Group Insperity, NSP, reported better than expected fourth quarter earnings and revenue, sending its shares 18% higher to 131. Okay, so great news. And as we see here, look what happened. I believe this was yesterday. Had you taken the signal by using our scanner and using the PET-D to confirm this, remember it's a signal confirmation, and decided to stay in the trade this long, well, you could have potentially captured 33 points in 3 weeks. This is strategy 5 along with the PET-D. Remember, however you exit is entirely up to you. But someone looking at this would say, well, gosh, how did you guys know this stock was going to have good earnings? Do you follow that? Is that a part of the rules? No, we don't follow fundamental news in the rules. Remember, we're only listening to the market. The inner workings of the company are not the things that we follow. And people will say, well, why don't you follow that? And we always give them the basic answer, the same answer my mentors taught me, is because the market is always telling you, usually in advance, what it wants to do. It's already built into the price. The only trouble is we've never been taught how to listen to that. We're always taught, well, we have to wait for the earnings and find out once the earnings come out, or look at what the institutions are doing. See, we're always basing our decisions off of someone or something else. Once you learn how to listen to the market, many times, not guaranteed, but many times I've found out that it gives you the clues in advance of a big move, okay? So this could have taken place in the last 3 weeks, and this just came out yesterday. Trust me, a year from today, you will have wished you became a member of this course. That's how valuable it is. Now, one last thing I didn't mention with this is that it also comes with personal correspondence. You can always email me. I'll give you my personal email address. You can email me anytime you'd like with any questions, any questions on a setup. You're not exactly sure how to apply the method. You're not exactly sure what to look for. And we'll be right there. I'll answer as quickly as possible so that you can really fully understand the process entirely. Okay, so here's the great deal we're offering today. Normally, this would cost you close to $8,000, $79.13. We're only going to charge us a great discount at $29.95. You're going to be saving almost $5,000, $49.18 to be exact, okay? Now, we realize that not everyone can come up with $29.95, so we also will include, for a short, limited time, payment plans. So if you can't come up with the full $29.95, don't worry, a small deposit, up and running, you'll be able to still be up and running and getting correspondence with yours truly, and you'll be able to establish a monthly payment plan, okay? This also includes the 12 months of the PTS Primo charting platform. So this is a great offer. Remember, normally all this would cost you very close to $8,000. We're slashing it down to $29.95. You're going to save over $4,900, and we'll also include payment plan. So this is a fantastic offer. I believe there are also some other bonuses included with this. Specialist trading is involved in the teaching aspects. As you can see, I focus on teaching and trading of the methods. Proprietary Strategies, who I developed the platform with and handle all the discounts and all the packages. So they may include some other bonuses on this as well. So here's what I would suggest. Contact them at Proprietary Strategies. You can either email them at the address there, or I would suggest probably calling them directly if you have questions for pricing or extra bonuses at 310-598-6677. And there's no obligation. They would be happy to establish a payment plan with you, or they'd answer any question about an extra bonus maybe they can throw in, but that's specifically their department. Now that link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the sign-up page and the info page if you just want to do it automatically over the internet without discussing anything. If you're already ready to go, you'll be up and running in just a matter of moments. Now, the link in the chat box is a live link, okay? That link you see on the screen is not live, so go to the chat box, click on that link, and it will take you up to that sign-up page. Now, I promised I would answer any questions that you would have, so now's the time to ask. We have about 10 or 15 minutes left. Just go to your question and answer box, type them in. And remember, this is a great offer. You saw all these examples. I've gone to a lot of webinars in the past where they'll talk about their strategy or their system, and they have some really nice examples. And then I look at the examples, and they're maybe 6 months, a year old, or maybe even 5 years old. Okay, I just showed you examples that happened from last month, from the top best performers, how you could have taken advantage of those just a month ago. In addition to that, I show you some great signals that were generated in the last few weeks. So there are always some nice opportunities being generated with the candlestick combo. We're not trying to show you, cherry pick the best methods that took place 3 years ago. These are things that happened within weeks ago. So this is how consistent these methods are. Okay, so let me open up the question and answer box and answer any questions that you may have. Will this work on the DAX index or other index? Yes, it will. It works on any market. Wherever there is some type of a trend, the PET-D can be applied because remember, the PET-D is telling you what the market is doing at the moment. Okay, so it makes no difference. Also, strategy number 5 is a pattern recognition. It looks for a pattern in candlesticks that is generated in any market in any time frame. So you don't have to worry if you only specifically trade the DAX. We have numerous traders who trade European markets and indices and ETFs and currency pairs, and they all, say they have favorable results with all the methods. Okay. Well, does this work on Think or Swim? Because of the way Think or Swim is set up, they don't allow us, or anyone else for that matter, to put their particular methods or strategies onto their platform. But what they said they will do with everybody is they will let you split or use their data feed. Okay, so what we do is we provide all of our members, if you just want to have Think or Swim, we provide you with a free platform, a NinjaTrader platform. But in my opinion, there's really no reason to do that because our platform, which is going to be coming 12 months free with this anyway, is so much more sophisticated because everything is a click away. There's nothing you have to upload, and we don't have to, upload the NinjaTrader platform on your screen to make it match, and we have to upload then the PET-D, and then we have to upload Strategy 5. There's no thing that we have to worry about that. Everything comes already pre-formatted. It's already prefixed on our platform. You're getting that included with this for 12 months. So what we tell a lot of students, we would love to have our information on Thinkorswim, but they won't allow anyone to have that. So we tell our students, listen, just have another screen with our platform and then toggle back and forth between Thinkorswim and between the PTS Primo charts. And a number of students of ours do that, and they love it because they have the best of both worlds, okay? John asks, do you normally advocate holding a position through earnings? Well, first of all, John, remember, if you came to our presentation, I don't advocate anything. We are an educational company. That's for you to decide. Now, we have some students that swear by, they say you should never be involved in a position during earnings. We have others that say no, because of the way our strategies are designed, many times if there's a big move in the earnings, they're in there prior to that. Now, which is better than the other? Well, we always say the same standard format answer, the one that makes you feel the most comfortable. It goes entirely against our philosophy to tell you what to do. We never do that. We never tell our students never trade during earnings season or always trade during the earnings season. It's up to you. Some students swear by doing it. Other students swear by not doing it. Neither one is wrong. They're both right. Remember, I said at the beginning of the presentation, the only way one becomes a consistent trader is by making your own decision. And you see, by asking me that question, this is how we're brainwashed to ask others, tell me what to do. We're giving this message to the markets, I don't know what to do, so tell me, what should I do here? And that's not the way to trade. You should always come up to the plate knowing what you want to do. I mean, it would be comparable to I'd say a brain surgeon in the middle of an operation turning to his assistants and saying, what do you think I should do here? Okay? What do you think I should do? Should I operate here or should I close it up, or what do you think? But that's what traders do. Traders do this on a daily basis. They're always asking someone else or looking for advice. What should I do here? What should I buy? What's the best time frame? What's the best market? This is what leads to inconsistency and to failure, to that 85% failure group. So we want you to make your own decisions so that you'll never have to ask anybody what you think you should do. Our education is very black and white. It's very cut and dry. There's not a lot of room left up for subjectivity. So you can decide, it's either yes or no. You can decide whether you want to do it. You're in charge, okay? Can you use 25-minute or 60-minute? Sure, you can use any time frame you like. Lars, anytime. Hi, he's a student of ours. Any time frame works. It's up to you. So, you're in charge of your time frames as well. So, a lot of our students like to use this on, trending markets because they say that some of the best signals are generated there. Okay, that's up to you. If you find that a strong trend in a 10-minute chart, go ahead. You'll still see setups generated there. Okay. It's entirely up to you. So remember, we are first and foremost an educator. We're not telling you how to trade. We're not telling you where to get out or where to get in. We're simply providing you with different variables, a standard format of the strategy, and then different variables to get in and get out. I like to compare it to a smorgasbord or some type of buffet line. You know, whenever you've had a meal, you get a standard course, but then there's a buffet where you can get your appetizer, you can get your dessert, you can get your salad. That's your decision. That's the same way with trading. We give you the basic course, which is the format of the strategy. But then you can go to the buffet to decide how you want to enter. We give you different variables for entries, different for exits, and different for stop placements. It's a unique way, but in my opinion, this is the way you become consistent. Not by trading a system that requires you to trade the exact same way every time. And you have hundreds of other students doing the exact same thing. I mean, I couldn't think of a better way to have you lose money. I've traded systems. I even taught systems in the past. And not one of those systems is still working today. They've all blown up, okay? So if you have questions concerning the packages, if you have, I see some questions here concerning discounts, concerning bonuses, remember that should be addressed to Proprietary Strategies. Anything related to teaching or trading or actually application of the strategy should be sent directly to me. Once you become a student of mine, you will send emails to my personal address and I will answer as quickly as possible. But if you are having technical issues or if you are looking for discounts or bonuses on other strategies, contact Proprietary Strategies. They would be more than happy to work with you. They have different bonuses, different offers, different discounts, different ways to help you become that consistent trader, okay? As we close up here, I just want to say thank you so much for taking that time out of your day to come to this presentation. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you learned a little bit about our concepts and philosophy for becoming a successful, consistent trader. I hope you become students of mine, but most especially, I look forward to all of you becoming members of the Candlestick Combination course. I really think it will help you turn your trading around and complete 2019 in the direction that you really want to go, okay? Thank you so much for attending. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope to see you later in the class. Bye-bye. I'll see you next time.